Managing errors in any application is very important, especially when it comes to database errors. We will manage this by wrapping our code that communicates with the database within a try-catch block. Continuing where we left off, we have created our PDO object successfully, and then I demonstrated how we can break that. So we're going to go ahead and break that again. So I'm going to add a few more A's back in and see how we can handle these errors and exceptions. Let's go ahead and refresh this. And now we'll see we have a fatal error, uncaught exception. Well, we don't want that to happen. And if you recall from object-oriented code practice, we have a lot of try-catch statements when we're trying to catch exceptions and handle errors. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to handle this PDO exception by catching any general exceptions in our script. So head back over to the index.php file. And in here, we're going to surround any connection to the database. So here where we're creating our new database, we're going to actually surround that in a try block. So try, and then open and close our curly braces. Then we have a catch. Open and close parens. And then open and close our curly braces. Now this is a try-catch block. Inside of here, we're going to try any code that we want to run. And if it fails out or has an exception, we want to catch that exception. So here we just simply put the class that we want to catch, which is a PDO exception, or we can use the parent class to catch any exception. So we'll type in exception with a capital E. And then the next argument is the actual exception object that gets thrown when the error happens. So we'll just call it $E for exception. Now we want to take this code here on line 11. In fact, we'll do line 11, 12. We'll just copy it all. And we'll put it inside of our try block. So that way, anything inside of here will happen only if the successful database object is created. So the other half of this coin here, or the other side of this coin, is to actually put something in here for our exception when that happens. So right now, I'm just going to echo a string. And that string, let's say, sorry, the connection was not successful. Okay. And then I also don't want it to continue, so I'll add another die statement here. Close it with a semicolon, save our file, and I'm going to refresh. So instead of it throwing an uncaught exception, now it says, sorry, the connection was not successful. Much cleaner, much nicer, no weird dumps to the screen about our code. Exactly what we want. Now to make sure it works, we're going to go ahead and fix our error. And then go back in here, save our file, and then let's redo our preview. And now we have our PDO object. Before we continue on, we do want to do two more things to our try-catch block or to our PDO object and then our actual exception to make it a little bit more informative for us. So let's go ahead over to a new tab and let's open up the exception class. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to type in exception PHP, and here we have exception, which shows us the actual exception class. If you scroll down here, we'll see we have several different methods that we can use. The one that we're going to want is getMessage, which if we click on the getMessage information, it'll just say it gets the exception message and returns the exception message as a string. Head back over to your code. Here, I'm going to modify line 11. I'm going to actually get rid of everything there, just do echo. I'm going to pass through the actual exception object, which is $E. And then an object operator. So that's a dash and a greater than symbol. Looks like an arrow pointing to the right. And that is how we tell it that we want to run a method. The method that we're going to run is getMessage. So get, and then capital M, message. And remember, it is a method or also a function. So that means that to call a function, we need to use the open and close parentheses. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then close it. Save, and now let's refresh and see what the difference is. Okay, connection successful, so I'm going to go in here and break it again. Save our file, then refresh, And so now it actually gives us an informative message more than just, sorry, I can't connect. It actually tells you SQL state, hey, we're unable to open the database file. All right, so that tells us if we can't open the file, maybe we did a mistake in our connection string, which now we know we did. So we'll go ahead and close that out and then hit save. Okay, the final step, the last thing that we want to do is a command on the actual PDO object itself, or a method on the PDO object itself. So we need to go ahead and open up a new tab to search for the actual PHP PDO object. So we'll do PDO class, then the PHP PDO class is in the manual. Okay, and if you scroll down here, you'll see that there are several different methods. The one that we're interested in is set attribute. So we say set attribute, and then in here, you'll see there are several constants, or the actual attributes that you can change. That's here in the header. So you'll see attribute case and then attribute error mode. So attribute error mode, or the error reporting, is what we want to modify. So we want to, let's scroll down a little bit more here. We want to modify this so that the error mode, when that happens, anything that happens at all, instead of silencing them or just having a little warning, we actually want to set it to throw exceptions. So no matter what the error is, we're going to throw an exception. So let's go ahead and do that by calling set attribute on our actual PDO object, or the $DB. So head back over to our index.php file, and we'll do it directly underneath. Actually, we're going to get rid of this. We don't need this guy anymore. And then here we're going to do $DB object operator to set attribute. All right, and then close that line with a semicolon. Now, if you go back to where we were in the manual, you'll see that we have the attribute and then the value. So our attribute that we're going to set, we're going to copy this constant here. We're going to paste that in. That's our first argument. Then we're going to add a comma, and our second argument is the mode that we want to set it to. And that would be PDO error mode exception. Copy that, paste it in, hit save, and then I'm going to do my preview just to make sure it's all good. Okay, we didn't do the var dump, so we wouldn't see anything different, but there's no errors, no exceptions, nothing dying out. It seems like we're right where we want to be. Let's go ahead and close this guy out and then go back and review here. So we've added a try catch statement to make sure there are any exceptions that happen on the PDO connection string. We'll throw an error message to us and then die out the script. And then we also, after creating the new PDO object, we have set the error mode attribute of the PDO object, or the DB object, to throw all exceptions for any kind of error that happens. Next up, we want to run some queries and see what films are in our database.